gentlemen, raise your hand if you are a God-fearing American who loves our money, our greenback. Yes, sir. My hand's up, I'll tell you that. And occasionally, I don't just use the dollar. I use the 25-cent quarter or the 5-cent nickel, or in some cases, the 1-cent penny. But guess what? Our fearless leader of Doge, Elon Musk, has figured out a way to solve our national debt. He's gonna get rid of the penny. Let's go! The penny is gone! Genius! Doge posted today that one of their first acts is looking into the inefficiency of the penny. And I pulled some numbers for you. So we spend 3 cents to make a penny, but the penny is only worth 1 cent. It's a 2-cent loss. It's not good. And because we make a lot of pennies every year, it adds up to an astronomical sum of money. How much money do you think that we waste making pennies every year? That's right, $300 trillion. We're saved. The second we cut this, turns out it's $89 million. $89 million. Now, that's a lot of money to you or I. Not necessarily to XQC, it's less than his contract. But it's not necessarily enough to make a dent in our yearly government spending, let alone our national debt. However, while you expect me to, I don't know, be mad about it, I'm not. I think it's a good idea. It's fine. Nobody uses the penny. In fact, I looked into it. Only 16% of payments nowadays, all payments, are in cash, and that includes dollars. So of those, very few use the penny. And after years of inflation, the penny's almost useless, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like $1 is barely worth anything anymore, let alone a penny. There's no point to it. It's like trying to have a $10 bill in Zimbabwe when they have $100 trillion cost. You know what I'm saying? Penny's not gonna matter. So I think we should get rid of it. The reason it costs so much is because the penny is not made of copper like it used to be. It's made of zinc to save money. However, in recent years, the price of zinc has soared. And so now pennies are more than they should cost. So the options are either to make it out of something else or get rid of it altogether. I think they should get rid of it. It's not a big deal. I think it's actually a fine thing for Doge to do. What scares me is that this is one of Doge's first big announcements. And it seems to me that my theory that they're just gonna pick and choose random little ticky-tacky bullshit things to seem like they're doing a good job holds true. Again, as I've mentioned, the big things to cut are like military, Social Security, Medicare. To put it into perspective, 89 million is what you save from doing this. Roughly 89 million. Recently, this is a few years back, but I'm gonna give an example. The United States military, which loves money, they love money. They'll always take money, almost always take money. They went to Congress and said, hey, we actually don't need any more money for new tanks. We have a lot of new tanks. All of our tanks are less than 2 years old. We don't need new tanks. And you know what Congress said? They said you get $125 million for new tanks this year, and you have to spend it because we want to keep these tank production factories in certain key states that voted for it. We want the jobs, we want the production, we want the money. So understand this is like $150 million to make tanks that will not be used. To M1 Abrams tanks, they will go into a military oversupply. There's no use. The generals asked to not receive them. This is one tiny small fraction of what is a $1 trillion unaccounted for budget of the military. If we can't cut spending here, this will not matter, is what I'm trying to, that's all I want to say. I want to reiterate this. And that is why, while I agree with the fundamental idea behind Doge, I find the people behind it and its mission and the power it's been given to be stupid. I think it's dumb. I think it's not going to work. That's the main thing. But anyway, that's the penny thing. Pennies will probably be gone. How much do you think is possible to cut from the military? Being realistic? A lot. I mean, you could probably, if there was no political concerns, if it was just about efficiency, you could cut, I think, 70% of military spending without even losing functionality. If it was efficient, if you had a new military, like if you started from square one and you built it with competent people trying to be most efficient with their money, you cut 70%. Do you know the military, the DOD, Department of Defense, employs, I'm gonna get this number, it's a rough estimate number. I believe it is, this sounds so crazy, I have to check again. Dude, I believe it's 200,000 people just on land management. Like managing the buildings and all the things that the Department of Defense owns. Land management. This is not like active duty troops. This is like managing and servicing buildings that they own, maintenance. There's so much rot and so much of the money that goes to the military passes through the military and goes to a military contractor, Raytheon, Northrop Grumman et al. And those people drastically overcharge because they know it's a big suckling pig they can just squeeze. They know they can get as much as they want. They can charge you $70,000 for a nut. get a prostitute at that point. It's useless. I think that is a great place to start. But it's like politically impossible because if you say you're going to cut military spending, people think, oh, you're going to make us weak. America's going to be so weak. Dude, we're weak because of the spending. The spending is making us fat and bloated and useless. We can't make bullets. We can spend hundreds of millions of dollars and have 10-year overruns and endless budgets and no constraint on making a plane that doesn't even solve the problem that we need to solve, and we can't get bullets made fast and efficiently. There's a certain class of Americans that really, really loves LARPing about how great and strong our military is. It's like one of their favorite things. They like to get on Reddit and just talk about imagining America winning a fight or something. It makes them feel so good. And I just wish they understood how corrupted it is, how rotted it is. As someone who grew up in military bases my whole life, I've seen the waste. I've seen the budgetary overrun. It's not good. And I love my country and I want my country to have a strong military and whatever. I'm fine with that, but it's not now. It's not. I'm not saying it's weak. We have a lot of expensive stuff. We have nukes, but it is drastically weaker than it was previous era. I mean, we've gotten more inefficient over time. We've gotten more wasteful. We've gotten more unable to respond to real things. Our drone supply chain is not good. And drones are like the most important thing in modern war. I didn't read this book. I skimmed this book on a chapter that I heard recommended. Anyway, it was called Modern War, not Modern Warfare Call of Duty. It was actually called Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. It's a book. I read it when I was reading about Russia, Ukraine, trying to learn more, and some general wrote about how war was changing in the digital era. How much of the military budget could you cut without eliminating too many jobs? That's a interesting question. What I would tell you is this. Right now, the government spends $7 trillion, $6 trillion. If you cut that down to a more reasonable deficit, you will lose some jobs somewhere because that money sloshing around isn't creating employment. So there will be jobs lost that have to then be offset with gains in actual productive private sector. I don't think there's a world you can cut that money and not see some job loss in the short term. So I think there would be. However, I think a lot of it is just the private sector overcharging and fat. I mean, I think the military should get good at making the things and not just contracting it out. You had a friend whose job was to refurbish military planes. They had to replace parts and paint, which cost more than the plane in the end. Yeah, they can just charge what they want because nobody cares. When the purse strings are the government and the government is printing money and nobody has any incentive to like, hey, let's check the cost here. In fact, it's the opposite. In the military, and this is a fact, in the military, if it's coming up on the end of the year and you haven't spent all your budget, you are demanded by those around you, by your superiors, by everyone, to waste money. You must waste money or you will lose that budget. You have to spend it. Like at the end of the year in military bases across the world, they'll buy things. They'll buy brand new gear they don't need. In Germany, famously, when I was on there for the military base we had there, they would fly planes in circles to burn jet fuel. They would fly planes in circles to burn jet fuel. Here, you want to explain it? I'll explain it very simply. Let's say you are the commander, the 606th Air Control Squadron, as my dad once was, 606th Air Control Squadron. And you are given a budget of this much. You're given $1,000. It's way more than that, but like imagine it's $1,000. If by November you have spent $500, you've been super efficient. You're a great leader. You save money. You're looking to save the government money. You only spend $500. Then at the end of the year, they go, oh, wow, I guess you only needed $500. And so next year, your budget is $500. They cut your budget because they're like, well, you didn't need this. We can use it somewhere else. And so the incentive, if you don't want your budget to get cut, is in the last few months, is you got to spend like crazy to get up to right here. So at the very least, you don't get it cut. Sometimes you want to spend even more and be like, listen, we didn't have enough. We needed more budget next year. And that's how you get promoted in the military, because now you're in charge of a bigger budget. Now you're a better leader because you're in charge of more money and stuff. It's a terrible system. It's a poor incentivized. Office clip. Let's see.
Why don't you explain this to me like I'm 5?
Your mommy and daddy give you $10 to open up a lemonade stand, and now you find out that it only costs you $9.
Ho!
But guess what? Next summer,
I'll be 6.
and you ask them for money, they're going to give you $9, because that's what they think it costs to run the stand. So what you want to do is spend that dollar on something now.
There you go. Fire. Explain. Thank you, Oscar. You should stream.